All right, everybody, welcome to another podcast of Cowbell Kingdom. Today, we're going to be discussing the most likely NBA trade and buyout movers, and honestly, just kind of like a midseason review. What's going on? What players we think could be on the move? What teams are going to be buyers and sellers? And we just kind of want to make our predictions for the rest of the season, kind of like most improved player, rookie of the year, most valuable player, things like that, and kind of just like I said, kind of have like a midseason review. So, with that being said, I think the first topic we're going to segue into is Leo. Who do you think are some of the most prominent buyers and sellers coming up at this trade deadline?
I think the biggest buyer has to be Boston, man. I'm looking at the roster. They're struggling. It's a big market. Everyone always talks about Danny Ainge this, Danny Ainge that. He got all these assets and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, they ain't sitting too well right now. They're on a losing streak. They've lost a lot as of late. Obviously, they've been hit with injuries and COVID stuff just like everybody else has. But let's not make excuses for them. So when I look at them, and yes, they have two legitimate all-stars, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but they're missing something. Kemba Walker has taken a step back, and he's not what he's supposed to be, right? He's not what they signed him when they thought they were replacing Kyrie with, and he's been disappointing this year. Let's call it the way it is. So
100%.
now, when you look at guys like Harrison Barnes, Aaron Gordon, those are guys that they're targeting because they need that position. Watching what the Nets have done, watching what the Bucks have done, getting PJ Tucker, adding that toughness to that team. I'm like, hey man, Danny Ainge, you got to use up your assets, your young players, and go out and get one of these two forwards who are extremely versatile. I'd take Harrison Barnes over Aaron Gordon, me personally, but I think they have to be a strong buyer, man.
Yeah, I would definitely agree, man. I think Danny Ainge is definitely on the hot seat. I know he has this reputation of, always, finessing the league in a sense.
Yeah.
But I think what's kind of interesting was the fact that they didn't trade. I know you're not the biggest fan of Miles Turner, but they didn't trade Gordon Hayward for Miles Turner. They
Facts.
had the opportunity
They
to.
should
And
have done that.
yeah, Miles Turner definitely could have filled that role that they needed. And instead, they have Tristan Thompson, who they're even looking to move now or even buy out. I know a lot of Celtics fans are high on Robert Williams, and I do think that he has the potential, a lot of
He's
upside.
nice. He's
Yeah,
nice.
but at the same time, it's like having Miles Turner wouldn't have hurt either. But I think from Danny Ainge's perspective, you can't forget that trade exception that they had by kind of like letting Gordon Hayward walk. And I think he was expecting to sign a big free agent or maybe somehow attract one to Boston. But I think now we definitely get to see them at a standstill. You know what I mean? Like Jason Tatum can't do everything.
They're 21 and 22, Ty. Like they're literally 21 and 22.
And yeah, and as of last year, they were arguably one of the favorites, maybe
Yeah.
even make it to the chip. So I think it's really interesting. I don't know if you saw the report. I think they offered two first round picks and Marcus Smart to Orlando for Evan Fournier and Aaron Gordon. So
That's interesting. That's
yeah,
interesting. Would you
if
make that deal?
it's tough because I think as is right now, you know what I mean? Like I don't think they're gonna make much progress, kind of running it back with the same team season after season and not making any changes. I mean, I think Evan Fournier is a really good kind of role player, and I think he can definitely have some scoring and kind of like fill Gordon Hayward-esque type role. The thing is with Aaron Gordon, he doesn't really have a true position. You know what I mean? He's more so like an undersized power forward, but he's more size like a three. So for me, I think I don't know. I know a lot of people are saying that those two first round picks that Boston has been offering aren't going to be too high of a pick, so that's why they're not as attractive. So I think if Orlando's willing to take their shot on those picks and Marcus Smart, I mean, let's just shoot at Aaron Gordon. Hopefully that he can really excel and maybe turn into a Zach LaVine type thing where a change of scenery can kind of maybe even potentially turn him into an all-star. Do I personally think Aaron Gordon is an all-star type player? Probably not, but maybe a change of scenery can help with that.
Yeah, so I was texting other people around the league yesterday and today about Aaron Gordon. I'm very intrigued by him, and I put this tweet out yesterday about Aaron Gordon. I was watching him play against the Nuggets yesterday, and this is what I said. I said, I can't tell if Aaron Gordon simply isn't trying his hardest in Orlando because he doesn't want to be there, or he's simply not as good as many thought he would be. Or maybe it's somewhere in the middle. But right now, he looks really bad. He looks disinterested. Disinterested is the key word because there's a lot of hype with the slam dunk contest and how much of a great athlete he is. But when I watch him play on a basketball floor, like a non, NBA dunk contest, he
Yeah.
looks slow to me. Like he's
Mhm.
not as he's not this insane athlete that he seems to be in a very controlled environment. And again, maybe it's just the fact that he doesn't want to be there and he's not trying his hardest. But even yesterday in other games where I've watched him play against Sacramento, he looks slow, methodical, not like nothing special. So I get it. Someone said, well, if he's in the right situation, he's an 18 and 9 type of guy. And that bugs me. That bugs the hell out of me because that's telling me, okay, he could be this guy, but he doesn't want to. Is his competitive spirit not enough to just go out and just flat out ball for any team? Like, that's what rubs me off the wrong way. And then say what you want about James Harden. James Harden was getting buckets even though he was unhappy. Like, that's the big difference between, I keep saying this, good players and great players. Yes, AG is a good player. Make no mistake about it. But the fact that somebody can tell me that, oh, he's just in the wrong situation, with the right guys, he's an 18-9 or a very effective type guy. And I'm like, why can't he be effective now? Like, why can't he show that athletic ability, those defensive gifts that he once showed 3 years ago? So the past 3 years have been very, very weird to me. His best year was 2017, 2018. He played 58 games, started 57 of them. He averaged 17.6 points, pretty much 8 rebounds a game. Ever since then, 16, 14.4, and 14.7 this year. So his career, even though he's only 25, going to be 26 this year, even though he's still pretty young, his career has gone down in the wrong direction. And it's just super, super discouraging to see something like that. And he kind of reminds me of what I think Bagley could potentially be. Like both under,
Um,
well, Bagley's not an undersized power forward. He's not that type of guy, which we think he's an undersized center. And see, they're both very talented. What I'm trying to say is like they're both very talented, but there's just something that's missing there. Is there something that you've seen from his game that maybe you can talk about, or you know what I mean?
I think you hit it right on the head, Leo. Like when you look at Aaron Gordon, you see the athleticism, you see the potential, and like you see the size. Like he's a solid size. But with that being said, just like you said, like he doesn't do anything spectacular. Like when you
Yep.
see him on the floor, like what is he gonna do? Do you think he has a good post game? Does he have a good face up game? Like they're okay, both parts of it. So I think that makes him an average basketball player. But yeah, man, with Aaron Gordon, I mean, watching him out of high school and even college, I mean, I thought you'd see a lot more transcendent out of him, but it's just a lot of stagnation. And I think for NBA fans that think that a change of scenery will definitely help his game. I just think we haven't really seen that progress out of this game. Like you look at
Right.
guys like Damian Lillard, right, who's improved year after year,
Right.
expanding his range and doing different things. You know what I mean? You can even argue Blake Griffin, right? When his athleticism slowed down, he started in that first year with Detroit. He was developing that jump shot and really developing a good face-up game. So I think with Aaron Gordon, the positive with him is like he's 25, so I mean the sky really is the limit for him, and hopefully he can find that someplace else. But I think my last thought on that is like if he's not gonna do this in Orlando, where he basically has the green light, like who else
Right.
is taking the shine over him? So you mean to tell me he's supposed to excel in a role where he's not gonna have as much of a green light and gonna have to fit more of a scheme? I don't know, but I'm hoping for the best for him, man, the Cali kid. So
San
yeah,
Jose, man. San Jose. I,
yeah.
I I actually texted somebody very close to him yesterday, and I said, "Does he want to be in the big market, or would he, be okay with being somewhere like Sacramento?" And he said, "Well, he wouldn't mind being somewhere and close to home." I'm like, "What?" Yeah, that makes sense because Gordon came out and said that that he wants endorsement deals, and I'm like, bro, you got to be good to get endorsement deals, and if you want to be in the big market, like, what are you waiting for? And that just rubs me off the wrong way, man. And I hope that he can fix his trajectory as a player and become that player that we want him to become. And to me, he has a chance to be like a better version of Draymond Green, in my opinion. A guy that can play elite defense, that can play make from the power forward position, that can bring the ball up at times, play some point forward. He has all the skills. It's just, does he have it up here? Does he have it in here? And is he just a competitor? I don't know, man. And that deal that Boston is, or that's been hypothetically reported, it's interesting on paper because you're giving up a dog in Marcus Smart, who I think every team would want a guy like Marcus Smart. But then you're bringing in two good players, hindsight. But would that make them better? I think that would on paper. But how would it translate onto the floor? And then would it give him a fighting chance against Boston or Milwaukee? Sorry, against Brooklyn or Milwaukee? Probably, maybe a fighting chance, but I still think those two teams are the best teams in the East.
Yeah, Brooklyn. Any series with Brooklyn is gonna be like Brooklyn in 4, Brooklyn in 5. The only team that's really challenging them is probably Philly or Milwaukee at this point.
Yeah.
So we talked about one of the biggest buyers. Who do you think some of the big sellers around the league? Just to throw some names out there, I know a lot of people have been talking Toronto, New Orleans,
Yes.
All, Sacramento, arguably, right? Like, are we gonna try to get into this play-in tournament? We win a couple games, we lose a couple games. So
Toronto to me is very, very interesting because they're 17-26 right now. Norman Powell averaging 19 points a game. He a dog. Like, he's Marcus Smart, but with really, really nice offensive game. Not as good as a defender, but a good defender in his own right. So he's solid. He's a free agent though. So there's that scarcity for maybe a team like Sacramento, maybe a team like Washington, who wants to keep Bradley Beal and they want to make him happy. So they're going to try to bring in as much talent as possible. Maybe upgrade their center position. Toronto, I think they should trade Norman. I think they should trade Kyle Lowry and just tank. Like, there's speculation about Siakam and not clicking there. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but I think if they do, they'd have a nice chance to get Kate Cunningham, who I think is the best player in the draft. There's tiers. I think he's in his own tier. No disrespect to Suggs, to Kuminga, to Green, to Mobley. I just feel like Cade's in his own world, and he's like, that's the only guy I would want. And I hate tanking, but literally, like, there's nobody else in this draft. And again, I get there's so much hype in this draft, and I'm sure we'll kind of touch on that a little bit, but I think it's Cade and it's everybody else, man. Like, when people use franchise changers, he's that guy. But when they use it for the other four guys that I mentioned, I don't know if I can tell you that with a straight face and look you in the eye as a man and say, man, I think these guys are franchise. Like, franchise changers is a big word, and it's a word that we shouldn't just throw out there. And it's the same with superstar. Like, superstar to me is like the first 10, 11 guys in the NBA. There's very few superstars, and we like to use and throw that word loosely. But, yeah, man, I think Toronto is one team. Detroit, obviously, is another team. Well, Detroit's going to want to go get Cade for sure. And then Minnesota, as weird as that is, like, they have talent, bro. Like, it's insane. Like, they have a lot of talent. I just don't know what's going on. Well, I kind of do. When your best player in Cat doesn't play any defense and he's been out, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt to some extent. But still, like, he's so soft to me. He's extremely talented, but he's not a number one guy. I've said that for years now. Is Ant that guy? Ant's playing very well as of late. Both you and I loved Ant coming out.
Yeah.
But why aren't they winning games? And then you look at Houston. Obviously, they're definitely going to tank and try and get the best player they can get. I love the fact that they went after Kevin Porter. I'm still upset about Monte McNair not trading the second-round pick for this kid. And where's Victor Oladipo going? So I would say Houston, Minnesota, Detroit, and Toronto are sellers, man.
For sure, and I think two players that you mentioned on those teams that I think are definitely really valuable, but in terms of, maybe potentially moving on to a contender, do you think Jeremy Grant or Victor Oladipo will be on the move by the trade deadline?
Yes, I think Victor's going to get traded. And then Jeremy Grant, I think they're going to keep him for at least this season, and then they'll try to evaluate things in the summer. I think they'll get a lot of value now or in the summer. He's that good of a player, and just Detroit's in a very interesting position too, man. I mean, I don't know what to think about them, but they have young talent. I just if I were them, I'd keep Jeremy Grant
Yeah.
for at least a year and a half or more.
I heard that it was rumored that Boston had offered 3 first-round picks for Jeremy
Yeah,
Grant. Yeah.
he's
So
good, bro. He's
that
good.
just goes, yeah, that just goes to show his value and also how desperate Boston is to get a player like that. And I think, kind of looking at the grander scheme of things, do you think Houston regrets trading for Victor Oladipo, considering it was going to be a 1-year rental and like now it's not working out?
I do, and I told you that the day that it happened, that I thought that Indiana got the best out of it before knowing the fact that that he had some type of cancer, and Caris LeVert. I think Caris LeVert's a better player, and Depot was the better player. I just don't know if Depot will ever regain that All NBA level of play. Maybe he will. Maybe it takes 2.5 years to come back to form, but he's getting older. Like, he's not getting younger, and
Yeah.
he relied a lot on his athletic ability, on that incredible speed that he had, in that twitch and his skill set. But like, Kings fans are like, "Oh, should we trade for Depot?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, the only guy that you can trade is Buddy." And you're like, "Well, worst case scenario, he leaves this summer and he opened up that cap space. Okay, what are you gonna do with the cap space?" You know
He's
what I'm
going to work
saying?
with Sacramento.
Yeah. So it's just like, okay, uh, I don't know, man. Miami has interest in Victor. Does he go there? Does he make a big difference? Does he go to Golden State, where he knows he has time to get his rhythm and timing back and his athleticism back, because they're not really playing for this year? It's interesting to see what they'll do, but I do think that he will be moved.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I think, yeah, now we've been talking about a few free agents, and so I have a list here, and I think we can just do kind of like a, are they going to leave game, and kind of
Okay.
like where do you see them going? So obviously, if you see them staying, just let me know. So we've already talked about Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier, Victor Oladipo. We kind of touched on Kyle Lowry. Do you think he's going to stay, and where do you think he could be fit?
Well, the only two teams that have been reported that really want him is Philadelphia and Miami. I think he's going to Philly.
You think so?
He has ties, right, going to Villanova. Uh, and they're a championship. Man, if you add Kyle Lowry to that team at full strength, that's a team that I can see being the Nets, bro. Like, seriously, like, that guy is a champion, and that guy knows how to play, and he's going to take charges to James Harden. So that's going to be interesting. It just depends on how much Philly gives up for him, and then how much is it, if it's a positive or negative type. Obviously, it's going to be a positive no matter what, but how much of the depth are you giving up to get Kyle Lowry?
Yeah, for sure. I've heard that Philly was willing to have Tyrese Maxey available, and I know he's a pretty promising.
But is that enough? Right?
Yeah, exactly. And then also, you have to consider, like, at this junction, when you have a team with Brooklyn, right, with Kyrie, James Harden, and KD, you almost got to take a swing for the fences, right? Because
Yep.
I honestly feel like, Philly's championship window is, dwindling. I mean, I think their best opportunity was that Jimmy Butler year. So
Facts.
I think, if you're able to bring on a championship caliber player like Kyle Lowry, why not? Because I don't see Tyrese Maxey. I love the guy. Does he
Yeah.
probably have more potential than
He's
Kyle
not
Lowry at
Kyle
this
Lowry.
juncture? Yeah, exactly. All right. Moving on next, we got Kelly Oubre.
That's interesting. That's an interesting name. I'd like him in Sacramento, but there are multiple teams, like all these contenders, that it comes down to what Golden State views himself as, right? Are they going for the playing game, or are they going to say, you know what, let's shut down Curry, he's injured, and we'll do it again, and they'll just go for the draft. And if this draft has all these franchise changers, then you could just get rid of him. I don't see anybody taking Wiggins' contract, but Kelly's contract, to me is doable for a lot of teams. But if they go, well, Orlando, y'all desperate, let me trade you Wiggins, Wiseman, some picks for Vooch. And now I'm like, damn,
Mm.
you got Vooch, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Clay coming back. That's a championship contender. That'd be scary. So it just really depends on what go and on how Golden State views themselves. So I'll say he's getting traded.
Sounds good. I think my perspective would probably be, Kelly Oubre definitely has ups and downs this season, right? He started in Golden State with like 0 for 18 from three. It was insane. And I think, yeah, that's a huge question to ask of Golden State. Like, I don't know if you saw the clip of like Steph Curry getting pissed at his teammates. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It kind of looks like, Steph Curry's, I don't want to say like isolating himself, but it looks like, he's kind of in his own lane, always having to carry the team on his own shoulders. So I don't know if Steph Curry at this point in his career is gonna be able to transcend his team completely by himself. I know you were mentioning kind of potential trades. I heard I heard a rumor that the Houston Rockets asking price for Victor Oladipo was either that Minnesota first round pick or
Yeah,
James.
right.
Yeah, so they definitely want to get something like that in return. But I think a big thing we have to consider is Golden State owns that Minnesota pick this year. You know what I mean? So I think that's a huge, huge thing to look at, considering they have James Wiseman. I don't know if they want to move towards this kind of like maybe another young talent. Potentially, you add a guy like Cade Cunningham to that roster, and then they're still pretty damn good. You know what I mean? So for me, I think my final decision. I think they're going to look to shop him, but I don't know what they would be getting in return out there in the market. So I'd probably say he ends up staying in Golden State and just kind of fits that little scheme that they have going on right now.
Well, he's a free agent, and they have to think about that. It's
Yeah.
either he walks or they get something in out of value. But yeah, so who's the next player?
We got Rashawn Holmes, big
Okay.
name across the league, man.
Rashawn Holmes, obviously, everybody knows I love Rashawn Holmes, man. He's a beast of a player, one of the most underrated, underappreciated players in the NBA. This guy sits at 6'9", 6'10", has a heart of a champion, though. He makes winning plays. He impacts winning. People want to say he's too small. I don't know what that means when he averages a ton of blocks a game. When he averages, he's been averaging a double-double the past, 11 games. It's all perspective on height, bro. Like, to me, it's all about wingspan. He has long arms. He has the jumping ability to make a huge impact. And the Kings are in a tough situation because he is going to demand, from what I've known, he is going to demand at least 15 from the Kings. And they may not have money. It just depends on whether or not they can move Buddy and his contract or HB. But man, like, HB is so good that it'd be tough for me to move him. But yeah, man, like, who wants Buddy right now? Everybody wants Buddy, but they don't want him at that contract. So
Yeah.
it just depends on what team can afford to slot him into that contract. I think a guy like Buddy on the open market gets a similar contract to Joe Harris, right? 18 million,
Yeah.
not 23, 24. In Sacramento, obviously, we know you have to pay a lot more because you're Sacramento. So
Yeah.
that's why it wasn't outrageous or anything crazy. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you're Sac, like, you have to overpay for everybody, including De'Aaron Fox. So yeah, it just depends on what they do. I've heard numerous different things from different people within the organization, and I think he stays. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have Rashawn Holmes back. I think he definitely is one of the most underrated centers in the league. I mean, you're asking, a double double out of any starting center in the NBA. Like, there's starting centers in the NBA right now that aren't, getting
Yeah.
anywhere near that. And what isn't Rashawn Holmes like top 5 field goal percentage? So this
Yeah.
guy's efficient as fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if that push shot keeps going in, keep shooting that damn thing. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And so I think I completely relate to you. I feel like we've talked about this topic on the podcast numerous times. It's like, man, Kings fans have to learn how to appreciate this guy. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd even be willing to go up to the 18, $19 million range for a guy like Rashawn Holmes.
Like, look, like Miles Turner's getting paid 18.
Yeah,
Don't tell me Rashawn isn't as good as Miles Turner. Like, stop it. I understand he's 3 years older, but again, in the NBA, man, where everything's player optimization, he has a mid-range shot. Luke One hasn't allowed him to shoot that shot. So I pose a question to people. If he starts to hit a mid-range shot, does your perception change? Absolutely. It
yeah.
does. But right now they see him, oh, he's just has a push shot and he plays. You act like playing your role is a bad thing. Like it's crazy to me. Like that's what every team wants. A guy who respects and just excels at his role, man. So it's crazy like the disrespect that we see every time. Oh, he's too small. Okay.
100%. So I think we mentioned this a little bit. If you could only bring back two of the three for next season out of Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, and Rashawn Holmes, who are you taking?
I take Rashawn and HB.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same boat as
Yeah.
you. All right. Next, this guy's kind of been, talks around the league. Buyout. Andre Drummond. Do you think he ends up, just kind of eating up that contract in Cleveland? You think he heads to LA? What's the move on Andre
I think he
Drummond?
heads to LA. It's the inevitable. Even if somebody trades a second round pick and they absorb his contract, it's going to be a buyout. He's going to tell his agent, "Hey, dude, I'm not showing up to Sacramento. I'm not showing up to Detroit to anywhere. Like if it's not LA, I'm not showing up." So I think ultimately he gets his way. They buy him. Somebody buys him out, and he ends up with the Lakers, man.
Yeah, like you said it best. I think he wants to play for a contender. His value's there. The Lakers need rebounding, and I know they're. I mean, obviously they're having to play a little bit through Montrezl Harrell right now. But I heard a report that they're even shopping Montrezl Harrell right now. So clearly they have a hole at the big position, and so for all we know, we could even see a reunion with maybe JaVale McGee if that's even a thing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah. I think next, this guy, it kind of hit me by surprise that he was essentially going to be on the market and on the move. But LaMarcus Aldridge, where do you see him going? And I know at this point in his career, he's not the same player that he was. He's more of a defensive liability than a lot of people think. What can he offer to a contender at this
He's
point?
exactly that. He's a defensive liability. I don't know how much he can offer anybody because of his style of game. It's really old school, right? Where he wants to back you up, boom, 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 waste 4 or 5 seconds out of a shot clock. In today's NBA, where everything's spread out with 5-out offenses, motion offenses, he kind of doesn't fit it unless he comes off the bench and they kind of make him like the go-to guy off the bench, which is what I think Marvin Bagley is. Um, I think they buy him out. Honestly, I know they have trade offers on the table for him, but it to me it just makes sense to just buy him out, free up the cap space now. And yeah, I can't think of a team where he's like, oh my god, like he makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's so tough because he's just kind of like that prototypical, like
Yeah,
old school big. You know what I mean? Knocks down the little, and if anything, he was a little bit ahead of his time in terms of kind of like a Tim Duncan s role, being able to knock down that mid range jumper. But dude, I don't see him keeping up with any of these stretch fours. You know what I mean? That basically a lot of these stretch fours in the league right now, how small we be playing, they should be playing three. You know what I mean? But
yep.
I've heard that there's rumblings that he's probably going to try to go to Miami. I don't know how well he fits there. I honestly think I'd rather prefer like Precious Achua eating up those
Facts,
hits, right?
facts.
But I mean, if they're looking for more of a veteran presence, I guess you can go in that direction. Um, but now I guess we can talk about his teammate DeMar DeRozan. I mean, I don't
That's
know if he's
interesting.
necessarily going to be on the move. I know they're shopping him. He kind of has that old school game too, right? Kind of like backing down, have that little mid range. What team do you think you can really see him
But
fit?
he's been playing a lot of power forward with the
Yeah,
Spurs. And that's the difference between him and Lamarcus is obviously he's still an all-star level player and you can move him around at different positions and he's okay with it. It just like being creative in how Pop has used him with this old school game as a guard makes a lot of sense. And the fact that he can defend multiple positions has really helped him stay on the floor on that end. But his ability to just draw fouls, man, that's invaluable to me. And you're right. Like, it just depends on what team wants to give up what amount. Does he make sense in Dallas? I think he does. Does he make sense on a lot of teams? He'd make sense. But how much value are they willing to give? And the last time the Spurs made a trade, I believe, was 2013, like an in-season trade. So they're not – that's not the type of organization that makes in-season trades. So we'll see what happens there.
Most definitely.
So to answer the question, I think he stays.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's hard, right? Like DeMar DeRozan definitely isn't gonna make the Spurs a great contender, but he's also not a bad basketball player. You know what I mean? So it's tough. So next on the list, not necessarily going to be moved in a sense, but there's been talks about Malcolm Brogdon. The Pacers shopping maybe potentially Malcolm Brogdon, Domantas Sabonis. What do you think about that? Should they blow it in Indiana?
I was shocked when I heard both of those guys. Obviously, Sabonis, all-star level type player, and Brogdon is like right there, like super close to that level. Really good basketball player. My gosh, would I love both those guys in Sacramento? But why would they blow up the team like that when Caris LeVert is back, and it's going to take him a few weeks to get back into his game? But that's a scary team. Like, who wants to play them? What's his name? Haven't played all year. The small forward that was playing well in the bubble.
McDermott?
From Phoenix. What's his name?
Oh, T.J. Warren.
T.J. Warren. Like, Warren hasn't even played all year. Like, it'd be silly to me. Like, unless you're getting like a star level back, then it makes sense. But I think they both stay. I just think it's ridiculous. I don't know who brought up those rumors and why. Like, what's the agenda behind that? Both those guys are really good basketball players, man. And I just know, like, to me, they both stay.
Yeah, I probably have to agree with you again. I just think that, Indiana is with their current roster, what they've been for the last few years is a solid playoff team, a mid-tier team. And I think, if anything, if these rumors were to come internally, it'd be more so the fact that they either want to take that next step and try to, acquire a star, or essentially they're just not satisfied being a 4 or 5 seed and, being a first round or second round exit every year. I mean, I think if I were an Indiana fan, it'd be pretty frustrating if we were to, move in that direction, considering, just like you said, Caris LeVert just came back. And I think he's been playing solid so far. And so
my advice to Pacers fans: don't worry about it. Y'all do not want to be Kings fans and never make the playoffs. Like, I'd take a 4 or 5 seed every single day of my life.
Oh yeah, we would trade spots in a heartbeat.
Oh my gosh.
Next couple ones on the list. Bogdanovich not working it out in Atlanta. Where do you see him going, or do you think he's just going to stay and kind of just try to play alongside Trae Young?
It makes me so mad because, again, both agree on this. Monty should have signed him, even though he's had a down year. Guess what? Teams are still asking for him because they know what he is capable of doing. Obviously, he's been injured. He went into a new system. When he was finally began to play well, he got injured. So now it's like a restart all over again. Guys like him, and I said this a year and a half ago, will always have value in the NBA. Anytime you can play, make, and shoot, even though his numbers are down, if you have the ability to shoot, and we've seen him do it, he will always have value, Ty. And it bugs me because, say it didn't work out here in Sacramento, that's fine. Like, go out and get yourself a late first-round pick for him. Or get yourself a player like a Dante DiVincenzo, who at the time the Bucks didn't value him the same way. I'm sure, like, oh man, like, I'm glad we didn't make the move, but they were so confident in making that move. Like, we thought, like, for sure that they were the winners. And obviously, we also said, at least I also said, that Dante may not be as good as Bogey today, but it doesn't mean that he can't be as good as him later in his career. And he really sped up the process, and he's playing really well this season. So, again, man, guys like that always have value.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough. I think it's tough that Bogdanovich is in the situation that he is in Atlanta right now. I know they're not utilizing him to his best ability, and he was also dealing with that injury, right? So it hasn't really worked out with him thus far. I think second, just to kind of reiterate your point, like, damn, would have been nice to have Bogdanovich on this roster, you know what I mean, coming off the bench with Halliburton, and then also having a guy like DiVincenzo. But with that being said, just like we weren't going to use the cap space for anything else.
Yeah,
So like, why not?
exactly.
Right? Why not have some value with that? So that's that. And I think thirdly, just to kind of throw a little wild card out there, I would like to see a team like Dallas try to snag a guy like Bogdanovich.
It'd be
I think
sick. It'd be dope.
right? You know what I mean? A lot
To
of those.
finally put those two guys together, almost best friends, like really good friends. It'd be nice.
I think chemistry wise it would work, and I think obviously we have no idea whenever Kristaps Porzingis is on the floor or off the floor. I think having another shot creator outside of a guy like Tim Hardaway can definitely help that team. So I think if Dallas can take a swing and maybe offer some second round picks and some value guys to Atlanta, I don't see why not go to Dallas.
Facts.
Yeah, I think the last one here. After this one, I'll list a couple names, and if if you have anything to say about them, let me know because I think the rest of these are more like role players. But this last interesting one, and I don't know if he should be moved because I think he's a very valuable player, Spencer Dinwiddie.
I love Spencer Dinwiddie. I love him in Sacramento. He's not going to play this season. At least we don't think he is, unless the Nets make that NBA Finals run. But even then, like Shamit and then Brown are playing so well that chemistry-wise, it just wouldn't make sense to integrate a new guy like that, like last second. So just take the year off, Spencer. But he's a nice piece, man, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with him and how much they value him if they see him as next year's guy. I think he stays, but if I'm some teams, I'm like, well, y'all loaded anyway. Let me give you some assets that you lost in that James Harden deal. Make the deal happen, man.
Yeah, I think you can honestly put Spencer Dinwiddie almost on the same level as Karis LeVert. You know what I mean in terms of talent, production. I think what Dinwiddie's a little bit older, but at the same time, dude, still a solid player. I saw a report on social media the other day that Miami had offered him like Kendrick Nunn, I think like Kelly Olynyk and like another pick, but I think they turned that down. I also heard another rumor that the market for Dinwiddie is probably either like a first round pick or a nice young player and a second round pick. So I mean, if I'm Brooklyn, I'm just sitting tight. You know what I mean? Like, why have to lose another guy that could be a very valuable asset either later on this postseason if he's able to return or even next season because I think he's pretty damn transcendent. But with that being said, you know what I mean? It always comes down to fit. I think I'm kind of seeing a situation similar to Denver when they had Jokic and Nurkic, right? Like Nurkic was obviously a great center, but at the same time, like it's just not going to work out when you got two guys playing the same position. So Dinwiddie playing behind two ball handlers and Kyrie and James Harden, definitely could see him on the move in the future. But just like you said, as of right now, I'm pretty sure he's just going to call it a season, and that's that. So yeah, let me throw some names out there. Let me know if any of these have a ring to you. These are more so like role players. So that's that. George Hill, Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley.
Oh, let's go. Just say move or stay. The
Okay,
first
gotcha.
one, George Hill, and then I'll say move or stay, and then you say move or stay.
Gotcha.
George Hill moves.
I think he moves too. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up even having a reunion with Braun in LA.
Yep.
Kelly Olynyk.
He's not a bad player. He moves.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Kelly Olynyk stays. I
Okay.
think he's done more than what Miami's expected of him, and he's filled that solid kind of like backup center role. Considering they already shipped away Myers Leonard, you know what I mean? So I feel like they're thin unless they are really behind Precious Achiuwa.
Yeah.
Avery Bradley.
Stays.
I think Avery Bradley has value across the league. I don't know if he has that same value within the organization of Miami. So I'm gonna say move. I think they try to get a different veteran other than Avery Bradley. I don't know if he's if they were that happy with him. Danny Green.
It just depends on what they do in terms of that big deal. Danny Green would have to be a part of that Kyle deal to match up salaries. So I say move.
I think so too. I mean, the guy is so inconsistent at this
Yeah.
his career. I think this one's kind of a gimme. Bielitsa.
Move.
Yeah, I think he probably ends up getting bought out now. And then if you just have to take a wild guess, Leo, where do you think you could see him fitting well?
Denver.
Yeah, actually, that's actually a good one. I don't have one in mind right now. DJ Augustine.
Stays.
Yeah, I don't think there's really a market for him out there.
Lonzo Ball, stay or move.
Oh, that's crazy. How did I not bring him up? That's the one person that I missed. Literally, I have like New Orleans as a seller on my topics here. So I think Stan Van Gundy is probably sick and tired of Lonzo Ball and the fact that he's up sometimes and he's down sometimes. But obviously, he's up right now, right? He's hitting
Yeah.
shots. He has a good field goal percentage.
He's
He's
like the
playing
stock
well.
market, bro. He's up and down, depend on the week.
Yeah. And I forgot what trade it was, but I know that there was a deal on the table where they were trying to figure out a third suitor for Eric Bledsoe because they're trying to ship him out as well in order to make a ball trade work. I think Lonzo Ball is super. I think he's a little bit overrated in my opinion, considering you see his little brother come into the league and tear up this damn league. I'm not here with all this passiveness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know people try to argue, try to make the claim that he's this true point guard and, he's not really going to give you, the 15, 20 points a night that you need. But, man, sometimes the guy shoots like 2 shots for a damn game and you're a number 2 pick. You can't be doing that shit in today's NBA.
Yeah, yeah.
So with all that being said and kind of this whole Lonzo Ball rant, I'm always going to be a fan of Lonzo Ball. I've been watching him since, my high school days. But I think he gets moved, considering Zion and BI have been playing so well recently, and I think they just need somebody that's really going to help them out. What will they get in return that I see fitting better than Lonzo Ball? I don't have that answer, but I don't think.
Well, they have 2 point guards in Alexander Walker and then my guy Kyra Lewis, and I know they're trying to play those 2 guys consistently. They're playing really well right now with him out, so it just makes sense, man. Just take that first-round pick for him. Trade him to Sacramento. Take that 2023 pick that I was talking about. Take expiring deals in Belly, Kojo, and Whiteside. And it makes sense. Like, it'd be Whiteside, Belly, Kojo, 20, a 23 first-round pick for Alonzo and JJ Redick. Like, JJ's obviously, for salary purposes, I don't think he's going to play. And maybe they just buy him out. But that's what I would do. Get a first-round pick before you just let Lonzo walk for nothing. Seriously.
Yeah. And I said it last year when the whole trade happened. I think New Orleans should have traded Lonzo Ball instead of Drew Holiday. Like, I think where they're at and they're kind of like what New Orleans is trying to do, I think Drew Holiday kind of fits that better, and I think he's obviously a better player than Lonzo Ball. I mean, it is hard to turn down 3 first-round picks, but, I mean, what is New Orleans trying to do? Are they trying to rebuild right now? Like, why are you trading for picks? You know what I mean? So that's just my opinion, but that's that, yeah.
Okay. That's it?
Let's see. I got a couple more topics on here. I just kind of wanted to discuss recent injuries and what kind of how that's going to impact their team's success. So I think first, kind of like the most recent injury, LaMelo Ball. I mean, it sucks that such a transcendent player was taken out of the season early. Does this really hinder Charlotte's kind of like playoff approach without LaMelo?
I don't think so, because they still have Graham there. Hayward's playing at an all-star level. They have a lot of depth in terms of their wings. They have Malik Monk, who I'd like to see him in Sacramento. It's unfortunate, but obviously it's going to come down to Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Halliburton. But I don't think it hinders their playoff spot. Like, I still think they'll make the playoffs.
I do think they make the playoffs. However, I think LaMelo Ball just made Charlotte so fun to watch. I know there's been memes online about like making fun of the Charlotte Hornets announcer because he's always like, Melo.
He's amazing, bro. He's so fun to listen to.
Yeah, he's hilarious. So
every game, even in the first quarter, it's like the game-winning shot.
Screaming, yeah, I know. Like there's like in the first quarter buzzer beater. It's like. I think Charlotte definitely set a good team. They outperformed my expectations this season, but I just think you cannot replace what LaMelo Ball does on the floor, even if he's not scoring. You know what I mean? He makes his teammates better. I know he has such a close relationship with Miles Bridges, and, man, he just made Miles Bridges kind of like turning the player I think we all thought he was going to be. Yep. You know what I mean? So I do think Charlotte makes the playoffs, but I think it definitely is hindered by the fact that you don't have such a transcendent player in LaMelo Ball. The next team that's dealing with injuries right now, Los Angeles Lakers,
Yeah.
man, they are getting hit hard right now. And I know people are even having whispers that, man, they might fall 9-10 considering that it's a play-in tournament. And you know what I mean? If you're trusting Kyle Kuzma and Dennis Schroeder with your team right now, I don't know if that's a team.
Hell nah. They're definitely falling to 8. Like, definitely. And 8 is in the play-in. So if they don't got Braun or AD, they losing to Memphis, Golden State, New Orleans, or Sacramento. Like, they lose to either of those teams in a play-in situation. Make no mistake about it. Obviously, we don't know what that calf injury really entails for AD. It's always scary, man, because the calf is close to the Achilles, and you kind of don't want to mess with that. Honestly, Braun probably comes back first. Like, knowing Braun, like, that mother, you know what, comes first, bro. He's just a gamer.
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, for if I'm a Lakers fan, I'm a little worried because I think seating wise and moving into the playoffs, I think that's going to be really important considering, it was a very short off season for the Lakers. So I'm hoping, this is Kyle Kuzma's prime opportunity to show,
Yeah,
this is what I can be when, I'm not the third option. I'm almost like the first, second option. So we'll see about that. I think now, just kind of wrap things up, we can kind of have our predictions for, end of the season awards like Rookie of the Year, MVP. But before we get to that, Leo, do you think Draymond Green is the best defender ever?
Hell nah, bro. Hell nah. I think he's one of the best defenders ever, but to say he's the best ever, it's tough. And then listening to Chris Webber last night, it was all over social media, and him taking both sides essentially was kind of weird. No, there's just so many other better defenders that I'd take, but he's definitely one of the best. Yes, because the fact that he can guard, well, maybe not today, 2021, but a few years ago, he was definitely one of the best ever.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like, the Prime Warriors years, just
Yeah.
being switch everything, you know what I mean? I think that can kind of segue into, who our favorites are for Defensive Player of the Year. I know there's been a little, chatter in between Ben Simmons and Rudy Gobert in terms of Ben Simmons feels like
Ben Simmons. To me, it's Ben Simmons.
Yeah, because Ben Simmons' argument is, he's able to guard 1 through 5, and Rudy Gobert, his argument is more so impact on the game and the fact that he's able to be essentially an eraser with any shots around the rim. And so, I think in terms of defensive wise, I'd rather take Ben Simmons. He can literally guard 1 through 4, even undersized 5s, and call it what you want. But he's big as fuck. He's 6'9", you know what I mean? So I think Ben Simmons is definitely just underrated in that retrospect. I just feel like, man, one day if this guy gets a jump shot, dude, he could be freaking Braun. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man.
So
I just wish.
I was thinking about this. Is Cade Cunningham Ben Simmons with a jump shot?
Dude, I was thinking about that too. I think so. I think Cade Cunningham's what, like 6'7", 6'8", right?
He's like 6'8", yeah, like.
So essentially, Cade Cunningham's everything you get in Ben Simmons and even more. So I mean, I would, as
that's a star
on the platform.
That's a star, ladies and gentlemen. Ben Simmons is a star, even without a jump shot. Imagine Cade being Ben Simmons with the jump shot. I mean, Cade's mean, bro. I know they lost that game, and I watched the game, and I lost money on that game, and I was upset. But when he took that 3 and they cut the lead to 3, I was like, this guy, he just has it. You know what I mean? Like, he's
different.
He's different, man, and so I'm high on him. It'll be interesting to see who gets him. And again, I don't think it's going to be the worst team in the league because with the odds, you never know. A 6 or 7, like that team may sneak in there and get the number 1 seed, man. You just don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anyone who gets Cade Cunningham, I think it's going to be similar to like what LaMelo was able to do in Charlotte this season. Obviously, Charlotte had a good team already, but just completely transcends that team.
I think he's better than LaMelo.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
As of right now, I don't know if I'm ready to make that statement, but I wouldn't be surprised come draft day or in the future. coming months. I come to that same
I
consensus as
just
you.
don't. After this honeymoon phase with LaMelo and his defense, like the kid doesn't even try on defense, and it's not gonna be okay with his teammates. It's good now because he's a highlight machine, but in a year or 2 years, like Trae Young was all dope rookie year, sophomore year, he's averaging 28, 29. Now he's like, bro, you got to be able to guard somebody. And I know LaMelo has more of a chance to be a better team defender than Trae, obviously because of his size. But I don't know, bro. Like, he's just really
Really?
bad defensively.
I know I'll agree with you 100% on that point, but I think something you really can't undermine is like, dude, the dude's like 6'7", 6'8",
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean?
And
And so,
that's the only hope that I have for him.
and I think something you also can't undermine is the fact that he does have good defensive instincts,
Yes, he does.
similar to like Halliburton, you know what I mean? Or he's just getting in passing lanes and jumping things. But with also that being said, like when he's just playing like face up with like a point guard like De'Aaron Fox, he's blowing by him every time. So I think you got to take the good with the bad, and yeah, just like you said, hopefully with this 6'8", 6'7", 6'8" frame, he's able to lock some opposing point guards up. But talking about rookies, I think we both are probably gonna have the same answer. Who is your rookie of the year for 2021 season?
Bro, I thought it was Tyrese, but Anthony Edwards is playing really well. Like, he's sneaking up on me, man, and I'm like, damn, like this kid is as good as I thought he should have been early on, but because of D'Lo being there, kind of stunned his growth a little bit in the beginning, but now he's more comfortable. Now they're using this guy as a roller in the pick and roll, which is insane and super creative, by the way.
Yeah.
Like a guard rolling, like he's powerful as hell. You put the other guard in a position to communicate on defense, and y'all know how that ends not very well because guards don't communicate on defense. And he's just a powerful, twitchy athlete, man. He's just so good, and everything about him just screams like star, star, star. So we'll see what happens from a mental perspective, but his upside is just insane, man. And he's averaging 3 points more than Tyrese. And from a popularity contest, we know he's more popular as it is. But if the Kings do make the playing game, then Tyrese gets it.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to these next few months. You know what I mean? It's really a real tight race right now. Anthony Edwards definitely has had some crazy games over the past few weeks where this guy is looking like a Dwayne Wade-esque type player. I think just like you said, right? Popularity around the league's there, the media attention's there, and like at the end of the day, Anthony Edwards has that swag. You know what I mean? He's always making jokes, talking in his interviews. So hopefully, with more opportunity in Minnesota, I mean, just like you said, if anything, for other fans around the NBA, we hope that D'Lo stays on the bench so that Anthony Edwards can just kind of excel. But Malik Beasley's probably going to come back from his suspension.
He's
sometime
coming back too. Yeah,
so
he's nice.
That might hinder it. But I think the case for Tyrese Halliburton is, man, if we get Tyrese Halliburton that can put up 28 points a night and he starts doing this a little bit more consistently,
easily,
playing more minutes, not just kind of like that Swiss Army knife off the bench, you know what I mean, that does everything so efficiently. I mean, I'd be willing to sacrifice that field goal percentage if, you can start getting us some more buckets. So I think that's the case for Tyrese Halliburton. He does, like, he's just such a good player when you watch him play. Like, he just does all the right things, you know what I mean, makes the right plays, doesn't do too much, and if anything, he's what Lonzo Ball was supposed to be a little bit.
Facts.
That's what a lot of people were expecting out of Lonzo. So that's that. Just to kind of go over, the official NBA Rookie of the Year ladder, they have Anthony Edwards 1, Tyrese Halliburton 2, Emmanuel Quickley 3, Jae'Sean Tate 4, and Sadiq Bey at 5. So that is that.
Sadiq Bey should definitely be 4. I love Tate, but Tate's a little bit older, played overseas, and because by a technicality he's a rookie, but I mean he's not a rookie.
Sadiq Bey is definitely just a great player.
Yeah. Would you trade Bagley for Bey?
100%, man. When I saw that, I was like, hell yeah. Shoot, I might even throw in that 2023 and a Pittsburgh pick for that, man. Jesus, I don't even know how we're gonna get Marvin Bagley off the books. You know it, Leo. I was trying to be isolated from the Kings fans base in terms of my perspective on Marvin Bagley. Like, come on, this guy, you know what I mean? He's still a number 2 pick. Come on, we can do something with him. But no, he got drafted in 2018.
Again, as I said, if he was number 7 pick, nobody would be saying anything right now. Like, no, but because he got drafted number 2. Kings fans like to use that to his argument of saying, "Oh, he has more potential." Like, no, he doesn't. Like all these guys got potential. All these guys are talented, man. Like stop it.
Yeah, and like I'm not even gonna sit here and say that I wanted Luka Doncic. I felt like Luka Doncic was super transcendent, and I think that, in my opinion, I just didn't know because at that point he was a small forward, you know what I mean? So he wasn't a point guard. So I was worried that he wouldn't be able to keep up with the KDs and LeBrons defensively, and that's where he was going to be exposed and kind of be more of like a 16 point per game type player. The player that I wanted the Kings to get was Michael Porter Jr., and we're seeing what he's been able to do in Denver with in the expanded role and just his length. He's a 6'10" phenom that looks like he's almost like a KD type player if you just look at his jump shot. So that's that. Did you have any more thoughts on Rookie of the Year, Leo?
No, it's gonna come down to again to Tyrese and to Ant, and whoever finishes stronger is gonna get it. But it's gonna be a close race for sure.
All righty, and I think this would be a nice closing topic here: the official NBA MVP ladder. Let me tell you the top 10, and then you tell me who you like. So at number one right now, they have Nikola Jokic. This was as of 5 days ago, so it's not that recent, but it is kind of recent. One, Nikola Jokic. Two, Dame Dalla, Damian Lillard. Three, Giannis. Four, LeBron James. Five, Embiid. And just to kind of round out the top 10, you had six, James Harden. Seven, Doncic. Eight, Kawhi. Nine, Steph. And 10, Jimmy Butler. So, Leo, who is your 2021 MVP thus far? Ooh, that is.
You know what time it is. You know what time it is, bro. My favorite player in the NBA. You know what time it is, man. Damian Dalla Lillard is this year's MVP, and he should be. He played the vast majority without CJ McCollum and Nurkic. Now CJ is back, but still, this guy kept his team afloat. They're a force to be reckoned with. They got robbed last night against Brooklyn, and man, like this dude is the truth. Like this guy is the truth. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, you cannot deny Damian Lillard's greatness and how he was able to, keep that Portland team winning without, their second best star. But man, Leo, are you not watching that big man in Denver? My goodness,
He's
he
nice.
is a big man, triple double machine. Oh my goodness.
But is he Damian Lillard though?
That is true. And so I know there are a lot of politics that factor into what the NBA MVP is. Do you think that potentially Denver or Portland's record is going to have an impact on whether their star player is going to win the MVP?
Well, they're both they're a game apart from each other. One's 26-17 and one's 25-18. So that's good enough to have an MVP on your league, man, on your team, man. Come on. The only other guy who they won't give it to from a politics perspective is James Harden, who's playing phenomenal. He's keeping the Nets afloat. They have the second most winning record since he got there, and he's only played with KD and Kyrie 7 times. So he's pretty much done it himself. Like he's elevated that team by himself. The other guy, obviously Embiid was my guy before he got injured. Like clear cut guy. He was MVP to me, but obviously not no more. LeBron was right there as his 1A, 1B. Those two guys are eliminated because of injuries. So definitely going to come down to Dame, Joker, and if I had a wild card, oh man, I'd say Giannis.
Giannis is still in that conversation, man.
He has to be. Like his numbers are the same.
Before? 3 year in a row NBA MVP?
That'd be the third person in history, I think.
Who are the other people? Do you know? I didn't know this ever happened before.
I forget, but it's two other guys than him.
Was it MJ?
I don't know. I think Will Chamberlain's one. I think. I'm not sure, but it's definitely two guys. And if he wins it, he'd be the third. But those two guys were champions already when they won the third, and he'd be the first one to not have a championship and win his third in a row, which is, I guess, I make him the first.
Yeah, and then there's also the arguments like, oh, the NBA MVP is a regular season award, right? So I mean,
yeah,
that's that. Yeah, so I think my pick today would have to be Jokic just because the man is freaking averaging a triple double. And
Devin said Chris Paul.
Chris Paul.
But he's still not on the level of Dame and the level of Joker.
Yeah. I mean, I play fantasy. NBA fantasy. So, there's nights that Chris Paul goes out there and has like 4 points and 11 assists. So, I mean, that's what's tough about that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it just sucks, man. I would have loved to see LeBron, not be injured and, maybe take his first MVP, deserving MVP that he has been robbed of for the last few years. And then, just to add to his resume, but it sucks that, at this age, this is probably his last opportunity to really, be competitive in the race. And just like you said, when you brought up James Harden, man, I think this guy is just so transcendent. I'm going to say, I said it once, I said it again. I think James Harden should have won. I think Giannis's first MVP that year. He basically played on Houston without Chris Paul and then was on a crazy winning streak. And so I think James Harden just like you said, politic-wise, I think at this point, regardless of what this NBA MVP ladder says, he should either be in top 3 or top 4 of the MVP discussion. Because this dude is just a baller. He makes it. Dude, my description of James Harden, for anyone that's never watched James Harden before, is like, dude, this guy makes it look like he's playing at the Y in the league, dude. He's just like, tween, step back. You know what I mean? Dropping dimes.
That's exactly it, bro. Like, he's playing at the YMCA.
No, like, don't get me wrong, LeBron's dominant and everything, but dude, James Harden, just like a nifty guard, just nasty like that. So, Leo got Dame Lillard, I got Jokic thus far, but obviously these can be subject to change. But I think, that basically wraps up our pod. Thanks everybody for watching. Do you have any closing thoughts, Leo?
That's pretty much it, man. I think we had a good conversation. Maybe all this that we said was in vain because within the next hour, Woj is going to break a damn Woj bomb. We have to come here and do it all over again.
For real.
But, yeah, man, I thought we kind of went over all the possibilities for multiple guys. It's a good show. We're at the 1 hour mark already. So, again, positive show. We appreciate everybody who was in. Make sure you hit the like or dislike. If you didn't like what we said, it doesn't matter. It helps us out either way. It helps out the algorithm. Drop a comment. I'm sure I'm watching the comments, and a lot of you guys are commenting, so we appreciate every single one of you guys. Again, we're definitely having a special edition show tomorrow. You have to. And again, if things break today, might have to come on here again, man. But yeah, Ty, appreciate you for hosting the show. It was fun, man.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll see that Woj bomb tomorrow, man. I'm excited.
All right, y'all. Well, on behalf of the entire CK family, Basketball Zone family, we'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.